Okay, so here we go. This is called an extrapolation, everybody. Does anyone know what an extrapolation is? It's like a formula, but we're going to show where it comes from. We're going to derive it. And then the idea of doing that is then those that really care to move on and go to calculus and all that other stuff and actually care to do well, the extrapolation makes you remember the formula, which has been a major disaster this year. Just the idea of memorizing simple things for a certain test and then not knowing those formulas. All right? This hopefully makes that easier. Okay, fine. Remember that word that teacher would throw stuff at you? Foil. Foil. Foil, 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 foil. We're foiling. Foil, 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 foil. Foil, foil, foil. My teacher called it Freddy Foil. Gave it a personality. All right, so then this would be, hey, what's root 3 times root 3, everybody? Ooh, there's some people. What's 3 times negative 2? So this is negative 6i. Excuse me. And then this, what's I times I? Okay, let's just write it out. 2i squared root 3. I don't know if you... I probably should put the root 3 first on the I squared. It doesn't matter. Okay, so what does this become? Negative 2 root 3. What's negative 2 root 3 and negative 2 root 3? Oh. Negative 4 root 6? Root 3. It's like a like term. It's like an x. And then what's 2i minus 6i? Negative 4i. So we foiled. Okay, well now I'm going to do an extrapolation. All right, and then this extrapolation is going to work out real nifty. And then I'm going to ask you if you can derive our formula for the day. It's actually going to be very simple dare revision. Of course, second hour said nothing. I think they're just mad at me because of my little diatribe, which is a negative rant. English and math. All right, here we go. What's 1 plus I root 3 in cis form? Can I do that right now? Cis is cosine of the angle plus I sine of the angle. Can I write it in cis format? Okay, I am. Whoever said no, I'm sorry. But later when we show a formula, we'll go back to that situation. So why I left this is I'm just going to leave a real quick little space for a little triangle. How do I graph 1 plus I root 3? Where do I go for 1? Up, down, right, left? Right. Where do I go for root 3? Does anyone know what r is? 2. Does anyone know what theta is? 60. That was tough. Okay, and then let's take negative 2. This one's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Blank cis what? Well, where do I go for negative 2 root 3? Left. Where do I go for, oops. Where do I go for hint, 2? Up. I was in the way. That's why I had to erase that. Hey, does anyone know what this is? It's actually figure outable, if that's a word. I don't think it is.
It's a 30, 60, 90.
It is a 30, 60, 90. So what is this side? 4. Okay, here we go. What's this angle? Okay, so some people are having an aneurysm right now. How did they get 4? It's 1 root 3, 2 times 1. So it's 2 root 3, 2 times 2. That's how 30, 60, 90s work. The side opposite 30 is A. The side opposite 60 is A root 3. The side opposite 90 is 2A. Okay, and then what's the angle measure? That's a 30, so what is it actually, though? 150. Okay, now we're going to drag these answers down here. I don't know why I gave this much space. Whoa, hold on. Yeah, right here. Okay, so 1 plus I root 3 is 2 cis 60. These are equivalent, just one's in rectangular form, one's in trig form. Negative 2 blah is 4 cis 150. That's the trigonometric equivalent. We can't extrapolate until we look at the answer. Okay, so this was the answer when I multiplied these two. This times this end up equaling this, right? Remember, see that answer up there? So in order for us to do this extrapolation, we got to convert this into trig. Boy, there's such a delay up there. I can't look at that screen anymore. All right. So what is this? Where does this land? What quadrant? 3. What do I put there? -4 root 3. What do I put here? -4. Hey, does anyone what's this? 8. Why? A root 3, 2a. 2 times 4 is 8. A is 4. I know it's a -4. So R is 8, and what's the angle measure? What angle is that? 30, so what is the angle measure? Now this is the time for the extrapolation. Try to make an extrapolation. How could I multiply these numbers when they're in cis form? Go ahead, you give me one part.
You add the angle measures together?
What's 60 plus 150, everybody? 210. Can someone extrapolate the other part? You multiply the R's. That's it. And there's the extrapolation. I know it's just one example. Does it work in all cases? Well, that's what you have to... Yes, it does. So this one example shows what the formula actually is. So here it is back in this long format. R times cosine theta plus I sine theta. If we're multiplying that by another R cosine plus I sine theta. All we do is take the R's and multiply them. All we do with the angles is add them. There's your formula. And those that understand the R-cis format, I would just write this down. Right there. Fun extrapolation. And then you're scared. Did I do good on a test or not? There's a lot of good tests. Someone last hour got their best grade of the year on a test. So I do want you to understand that too, that there are people making changes. All right? Now we're going to do that annoying thing of actually dividing. I think this is one of the most annoying things in math, to rationalize a denominator. I'm being honest. I'm not a fan of it either. So that's why I really like the extrapolation on this one. What do we have to multiply both things by? Why does that keep coming up? What do we have to multiply both top and bottom by, I mean? -2 root 3, what? Minus. Conjugate. Opposite. I know you said that. So you're like, stop yelling at me. And then the other reason, why did I choose the conjugate? Because then I only have to worry about how many multiplications in the bottom. 2. I don't know what I can do to get you guys to figure this out. What's -2 times -2? 4. What's root 3 times root 3? 3. 3 times 4 is what? Bless you, my child. All right? And then what's 2i times -2i? Let's just write it. -4i squared. But what is that going to become? Plus 4. And then it's going to become 16 on the bottom. We'll write that later. All right, the top's annoying. 1 times -2 root 3. 1 times -2i. Those are easy. Then be careful on this one. What is root 3 times root 3? What's 3 times -2? -6i, right? And then what's I root 3 times -2i? Let's just write it all. -2i squared root 3. Or we could write the root 3 first, then the I squared. But let's just do this here. What's -2i squared become? Root 3. This becomes positive 2 root 3. Ooh, what happens with these two then? They cancel. And then all I'm left with is -8i over that 16 that we said, because this is 4. 12 plus 4. Oh, you better. Not only can't you, you have to. What's -8i over 16? Or -i over 2. I just like to see the -1/2 sticking out. Okay, help me out on what you have for notes. Here's extrapolation time. We already converted this to cis. What was this as a cis number? And then those that didn't get that, maybe that written down. What was this as this? 2 what? Cis 60. My brain. I can't remember. What was this one as a cis number? 4 cis 150. That was on the previous page. We already turned these into cis numbers. Okay, so we divided these two, and that equaled this. What happens when we divide these two? That doesn't look so good with all these lines. So I think you can handle that. I'm going to get rid of that. What do we get? Well, what we have to do is find this in cis form. Ooh. What's this number out here? No? No? It's nothing. Okay, because what I need to do is be able to graph this. How do I graph 0 minus a half I? Up, down, right, or left? Down! And that was most of the class. To that coordinate or whatever. That's the end of that vector in A plus BI, numbers. It's related to how we did these vectors, yes. So what's the angle measure? I'm going to cheat. But what's the angle measure? But I'm going to cheat because I want you to see the formula. Don't you also agree that that angle could be called what? Negative 90. And what's R? Not 1. 1/2. Now let's do an extrapolation. Huh. Anyone? What do I do with these two? Divide them. What do I do with these two? Subtract. That's why I cheated and made it negative 90. Because that's what you do. Negative 90 is the same as 270. It's just sometimes you have to follow rules and how you place your answers down. So lo and behold, we just extrapolated this, what looks like a complicated box, and it's not. It's actually infinitely easy, and I kind of think it's cool. I mean, cool mathematically, which means not really cool at all. Because I had the problem with my math book. All right, video. I didn't start the video, so I want to throw my computer if you can't tell me these answers. I got to start over. I did say that in class. Angry that you can't just follow a format of a formula. 8 times 5, 40. What do we do with the 300 and the 120? Add them. I'm writing it in cis format. Okay, fine. 420 degrees. We should figure out where that's at. Like, we get a 360 out of it, right? What's left over after 360 is done? Never was good at math, were you? Oy! Just subtract 360 from 420. And what are you left with? 60. So do you mind if I just put 60 in the... And then, okay, you should not have to draw your triangle. If you're going to calculus next year, your teacher is going to be furious if you're drawing triangles every single time for this trig. They are. Okay, so 40 cosine of 60. What's cosine of 60, everybody? Let's see, he was faster. If cosine of 60 is a half, what's sine of 60? Root 3 over 2, the same ratios I've been dealing with forever. Since maybe September. Maybe September. Okay, and if you still don't get it, what's side opposite 60? What's the side opposite 60? Root 3, what's the side opposite 30? 1, what's the side opposite 90? This is what I'm talking about, being behind, still not knowing even how to draw this triangle right here. You're causing a snowball effect of failure. All right, and you got to get this figured out. All right, so cosine of this is a half. Sine of this is root 3 over 2. And then I got to distribute 40. What's half of 40? 20. What's half of 40? Yeah, what's half of 40? Tell me. 20 root 3i. That's why I could just do half of 40 again. That's how you distribute a 40. It gets up at the top. 40 divided by 2 is 20 root 3i. Now, it's a few more steps, but when it's presented in this format, it's actually the first step is easy, and then it just requires a little bit of basic trig and a little bit of distribution. The math behind it is not actually that hard. What's root 2 times root 2? 2. Cis. 570. The only thing you have to do is now figure out where 570 is. 360 plus 460. 560. So 360 plus? Nobody? All I'm asking you to do is subtract 360 from this. You're killing me, Smalls. I love that movie, by the way. 210. What's 210? What kind of triangle is it? Red, right? Let's get all those out of the way. 30. All right, so that should be good enough. I'm just going to write cosine 210 instead of 570. It's the same. They're going to give me the same ratios. What's cosine of 210 then? Ooh, it's a 30. What's cosine of a 30? Root 3 over 2. What's the ratio? Is it positive or negative? Negative. This is why I love this chapter as well. This is nice little chapter 3 review. Still don't know this. It's a problem. What's sine of a 30? I swear to gosh, get out. 1/2. But what quadrant is it in? I have said that every single day. Parents, if you're listening to this video and you think I'm some sort of jerk teacher right now, I have said what's sine of 30 every single day in this class since September. If your son or daughter does not know what the sine of 30 is at this point, there is something wrong. All right, I feel better now. Distribute to 2. Okay, and then it goes to this one. Oh, gee golly. Now, I really think, this is why I really love this, because I hate rationalizing denominators and getting i's out of denominators. So this is why I really like this math. What do you do with the 24 and the 2 now that we have division? Divide. What do you do with the 150 and the 30? Sizz 120. And now we're in chapter 3 again. 120 is a what kind of angle? 60. That's all I should have to write at this point. When I ask you the questions, what's cosine of a 60 in quadrant 2? It's actually negative 1/2. What's sine of a 60 in quadrant 2? So it's negative 1/2, and it's root 3 over 2i, and then you distribute. And those that are lagging majorly behind, I will go ahead and explain that yet again. This is 120, so this is 60. What's the side opposite to 60, everybody? Root 3. What's the side opposite to 30? 1. What's the side opposite 90? This is last resort. This is what you have to draw in order to get these. And then, actually, I even said back in the day in Chapter 3, if you still can't do this, you can still play SOHCAHTOA now that you have a triangle. You don't have to do kicks or ticks anymore. Look, I started with a Y. Toe, because this is the reference angle. So this is the opposite side, this is the adjacent side, this is the hypotenuse. Remember I said that? Okay, but it is kicks or ticks, but, whatever. Do something. All right, this is what I mean about those that are still getting these wrong. I don't know. I can't help you. I can't. What do I do with the 16 and the 8? What do I do with the 310 and the 70? Subtract. And then now we're getting more Chapter 3 review. Except I don't know how to subtract 310 minus 70. Is it 240? What's 240? What quadrant? 3. What's the reference angle? If you can't figure that out, you can't do 180 plus 60. That's all we're doing. This is 180, and then it's 60 more. So I have a 60 again. Isn't it the same ratio as we just had, but we got to make sure we have negatives and positives? What's the cosine? I'm getting lazy. That's it. What's the cosine of 240? Negative 1/2. What's the sine of 240? Negative. They're both in quadrant 2, root 3 over 2. Then you distribute. I'll take a break in the video for a second. So I'm not going to multiply by the conjugate. I'm going to be a good little trig person. 4 plus 4i, what quadrant does that land in? 1. 4, 4. Anyone know what the r is? 4 root 2. Because what kind of angle is this, which actually tells me what the other part I need? This is a 45. So this in rectangular, wrong, in trig format is 4 root 2 sizz 45. 2, wrong. 4, 4. It has to be 45, 45, 90. You could do the Pythagorean theorem to figure out 4 root 2. All right, but then again, this is what, if you're going to calculus, if you ever have to, use this to do more complicated stuff, your teacher's going to expect as fast as we got it. And then where's 2 negative 2 go? 2, I almost went the wrong way. What? Negative 2, and then boom. You actually have options on this. 2, negative 2. Anyone know what r is? 2 root 2, because this again is a 45, 45, 90. Go ahead and do the Pythagorean theorem. 2 squared plus negative 2 squared. By the way, that's 4 plus 4, which is 8. Square root of 8 is 2 root 2. Okay, but again, I slowed us down. Sis, what's the angle measure? It's not 45. It's either 315 or you could say negative 45. I'm going to do this because you guys are like scared. All my answers yesterday had to be between 0 and 360. Okay, well, I'll explain how it doesn't matter in this. What do I do with these two? Divide, what's 4 root 2 divided by 2 root 2? 2. Sis, what's 45 minus 315? Oh, no. 45 minus 315 is what? Negative 270. Do you know what negative 270 is the same as? 90. If you would have made this negative 45 instead, what's 45 minus negative 45? 90. It doesn't matter. We know we're at 90. What is the cosine of 90? What's the cosine of 90? Have some people zoning out. Hike. They just threw a bunch of numbers at me. 0, 1, 7. Hike. What's the cosine of 90? 0. 0 is x. This is where you had to use Sir Kicks or Ticks. That's what I taught you back in the day. I said, if you have 45, 30, and 60, you could get away with SOHCAHTOA. This one you can't. You have to do Sir Kicks or Ticks. X over r. What's the sine of 1? And then when you distribute, you just get 2i. Now, I'm not saying that was necessarily easier to convert it, but at least I didn't have to rationalize. And if I'm good at trig, then it is actually easier. Like this next one. Oh, stop, Mr. S. No. Isn't it 0? No, I'm not stopping. Where does 0 plus 2i land? What angle measure? 90. What's r, which is the distance back to the origin? 2 sis 90. That's not hard. And then here we go again. These are going to be familiar. 1, negative 1, negative root 3. Negative 1, negative root 3. That should be enough. What is r? 2. What is this angle measure? 60. So what does that mean it is in standard form? 240. The 60 in quadrant 3. 180 plus 60. Uh-oh. That was all being taped. Woo, thank goodness. What do we do with the 2's? Divide them. What do we do with the angles, though? What's 90 minus 240? I never was good at math. Negative 150. And then, where's negative 150? Hurry up. Where's negative 150? Hurry up. Quadrant 3, what's the reference angle? 30. That should be enough. What's cosine of a 30 in quadrant 3? What sine of a 30? Boy, I wish he had asked that before, then I'd know the answer. What sine of 30? Negative 1/2, though, right? And then what's that make the cosine of a 30 in quadrant 3? Negative root 3 over 2. And that's just multiplied by 1. I'm not even going to distribute that. And then the only way I'm going to end these notes is with calculator questions, because it's going to be obvious that these are calculator questions. Because what am I supposed to do with the 4 and the 7? And I can't do that without a calculator. That was a joke. Well, some can't. All right, and then sis. Boy, he's just mean today. What am I supposed to do with those? Is it that time? Oh, I thought you were putting your stuff away. All right, what am I supposed to do with those angle measures? Add them. I could kind of do that without a calculator. 19 plus 41 is 60. 61. This is what you can't do without a calculator. 61 isn't special. So what you have to do is go ahead and do the cosine of 61. Could someone do that for a fella and give me that decimal? Just give it to like 4 decimal places, but save it on your calculator. 0.4848, blah, 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 blah. Plus I sine of 61. Actually, I shouldn't write it like that. Give me the decimal, and I'll put I in front of it.
0.8746.
I, and then all you have to do is take those two decimals you found and multiply by 28. Actually, what would have been smart is if you just wrote 28 cosine 61, press enter, then you get your final answer, plus, then do 28 sine 61, press enter, and then put that there, right? Oh, here we go. I thought we were going to make it. Calculator. All right, and then what do I do with these? Subtract. What's 130 minus 21? 109. And then this is what I said. Someone do 3 cosine 109, press enter, give me the final answer. And then someone do 3 sine 109, and then give me the answer. That's what's in front of I. So 3 cosine 109 is this. 3 sine 109 is this number in front of I. So that's A plus BI number. It's in that format. Okay, so make sure when you do your homework, you do 1 through 2 all. Not skipping any. And then 3 through 31 odd, and then 43.